Hello everyone, I am Dr. Santosh Kumar, orthopedic surgeon in Kolkata. So in our video series, we have been presenting to you various aspects of joint replacement, especially knee and hip replacements. We have shown to you the pathology, the mechanics, the implant design, the choice of implants, etc. etc. We have discussed all this. So presently, I am here to answer the queries that many of you have been sending me to my mail santdr@gmail.com, or you can WhatsApp me at 9831911584. Many of you have been sending me these queries and I am here to discuss the answer to these queries. We'll start with the questions that I have got. This is something very important thing that needs to be understood. The right time of knee replacement is actually whenever you need it. For example, let's understand that knee replacement is not a life-saving surgery. It's a surgery to uplift your quality of life, your living, and if you need it at 30 years, you may have to go undergo knee replacement. If you need it at 60 years, you may have to undergo knee replacement at 60 years. If you need it at 70 years, you may have to undergo knee replacement at 70 years. So the purpose of knee replacement is to restore painless and stable movement and thus give back your social, professional, personal and active life. Well, most of the knee replacement that we do is primary osteoarthritis. Well, primary osteoarthritis is something which happens over a time and it's mostly in the seniors of our society. The word primary osteoarthritis means wear and tear. It's not a disease, it's wear and tear. The way our car tires wear out, similarly our knee cartilage wears out. So this is something which happens mostly in the seniors of our society. We have certain other kinds of arthritis like secondary arthritis. For example, it can be some juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, which can be ankylosing spondylitis. It can be a secondary osteoarthritis because of some trauma, fracture or some specific reason. In those cases, the arthritis, knee joint destruction can happen very fast. For example, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis can affect a person right from 15 years of age. Somebody needs a knee replacement, somebody whose quality of living, activities of daily living has been impaired even at very young age, it has to be done. For example, the youngest person I have done knee replacement is 27 years of age. The second youngest person I have done is 29 years of age. And the person whom I have done, the lady whom I have done knee replacement for 29 years of age, I have been following her. She has been in contact with me. And I personally know that after the knee replacement surgery, she got married, she completed her MCA and she is doing a routine, she is doing a normal job. So had I told her that you wait for 60 years, then only I will do knee replacement, then she would not have lived 30 years of productive life. Well, 30 years is a big time, 25 to 30 years of productive life. Now, people who have undergone knee replacement at younger age, let's say 27 years, 30 years, 35 years, they are very likely that in next 25 to 30 years, they will have to undergo revision. What it means is that the knee implant may wear out, the knee prosthesis wears out, the way our natural God-gifted knee wears out. So after 25-30 years, it may need to be revised, it may need to be changed. That is known as revision knee replacement, and that is equally successful. And understand it, the purpose of knee replacement is to restore painless and stable movement and restore and give back your personal and professional life. And if your personal life, your professional life, your social life, your activities of daily living is getting affected even at a younger age, very young age, you should be wise enough to consider knee replacement, because we must understand the productive years, the most productive years of life is from 25 to 60 years. So in that period, in 30 to 60 years or 25 to 60 years, you have to be perfectly alright, to be able to enjoy life, to be able to earn, to be able to work for your family. So that is the most productive years of life. So that period, 25 to 30 years, you have to be pain-free, you have to be mobile. So if your knees are getting affected in these years of life, it has to be, something has to be done, whether it is knee replacement or whatever, but something has to be done. And you must consider knee replacement as an option whenever there is end arthritis, whenever there is end stage arthritis of knee, whatever arthritis it may be juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, it may be secondary osteoarthritis. So whatever may be the cause, it is an end stage arthritis, the treatment is knee replacement. Nobody wants to undergo surgery. Even I don't want to undergo any surgery on myself. So we must avoid surgery as far as possible. But as far as joint replacement is concerned, we must consider certain things. It should not be done when it is not needed. Joint replacement of knee or hip is for end stage arthritis, means only when the arthritis is advanced and it is not responding to other corrective measures like physical therapy, weight reduction, modification of life measures, life modification measures. If it is not if it is not responding to that, then we have to do joint replacement. So joint replacement is a treatment for end stage arthritis. It should not be done very early, but on the other hand, you should not wait endlessly. If you wait endlessly, if you wait very long, the results of surgery may get impaired. For example, the best results of surgery will be available if it is done at right time. It should not be too early, it should not be too late either. So it should be done at appropriate time. First, if you wait too long, then you are losing the precious years of your life. Second, the muscle atrophy starts in, the neuropathic pain starts in. So muscle atrophy, if it starts getting atrophied, neuropathic pain starts in, then it takes long time to recover up even after surgery. So it should be done, surgery should be done at appropriate time. And as far as knee replacement is concerned, if the knee gets bent too much, then there is definite risk of fall. And all people who fall down at home and or washroom with fractured neck femur, most of them have bent knees, and they have fallen because of bent knees. So the surgery, joint replacement should be done at appropriate time. It should be avoided if it is not necessary, but it should not be delayed when it is necessary. Well, the operative time is around 30 minutes on an average. It depends from person to person, but for people like us, who have been doing joint replacement, knee replacements for more than 15 years, and we have been doing average 10 to 15 knee replacements daily, the average operating time is 30 minutes. Oh, really not? Before anesthesia, before admitting one for surgery, we do all fitness assessment tests, and we assess whether the person is fit for surgery or there is a need for optimization. For that, we do blood test in which we see kidney function, liver function, thyroid function. We do ECG echocardiography to see heart function. We do urine tests, and we do chest X-ray, and all those tests we do to establish one's fitness for surgery. And if a person is not fit enough, we may optimize the person before surgery. And as far as anesthesia is concerned, we always do something called pre-anesthesia checkup. Anesthetist comes and sees the patient, sees the reports. The anesthesia that we prefer is regional anesthesia. It's very safe, and since the operative time is very safe, the anesthesia is short. And for pain relief, we use something called nerve block, wherein we give ultrasounded or nerve stimulator guided block to the femoral and the sciatic nerves for complete pain relief. Adductor canal block, all these nerve blocks are given. Well, with time, with numbers, like I personally, I have done more than 10,000 knee replacements till now. So with numbers, with time, we tend to attain more and more perfection. So our anesthetists are very perfect in giving nerve blocks. Nerve blocks are something which are used for analgesia after surgery, and those nerve blocks are given by ultrasound guided a nerve stimulator model. So with normally we give femoral nerve block, adductor canal block, all these nerve blocks are given. We used to give epidural analgesia for complete pain relief. So epidural analgesia is less common nowadays, but of course that's also in the armamentarium. And the pain control modality it's a multimodal pain control approach. So we use transdermal patches, we use nerve block, we use local infiltration, and we try to keep you almost as painless as possible. And if needed, we can go for epidural also. Epidural gives complete pain relief. Immediately after surgery, we will keep you for half an hour or so in the recovery room of the operation theatre. We take you out. If we normally do both, we usually do a lot of surgeries in which we do both knees together in single sitting. When we do both knees together in single sitting, several times we prefer to keep just for observation, want to keep the person overnight in the surgical ITU. Sometimes when we do one knee also, we may prefer to keep in surgical ITU just for observation, or we shift to the bed, allow sips of water or sips of liquid within couple of hours after surgery. We prefer position of choice, the way a person wants to lie down, whether it is flat or on side, position of choice, and we give you food on demand. The moment you feel hungry, we will give you food. Start with semi-solid food, and we try to make sure that you sleep peacefully the night of surgery, and from the next day morning We'll make you out of bed, we'll start mobilization, we'll do on bed mobilization, we'll do exercises, and we'll make you out of bed, and you should be out with a walker, with the help of a walker from the very next day of surgery. In the next couple of days, we make you sit on chair, commode, and we try to make you climb few steps stairs. Well, the process of recovery and rehabilitation starts immediately after the surgery. We start static quadriceps exercise on the day of surgery, immediately after the surgery. In fact, we start training about the exercises before the surgery. Or the person starts doing exercises before the surgery, faster is the recovery after the surgery. So we start the process of rehabilitation several times before the surgery itself, and on the day of surgery, we start with static ankle pumping exercises to promote the blood flow, backflow in the veins. We start static quadriceps exercises. On the very next day, we start bedside leg dangling, and we start mobilizing the patient out of the bed. And this rehabilitation, that is exercises, has to be continued for a couple of months, because the implant that we put is at its maximum strength right in the operation theatre itself, because it's a cemented implant. In 10 minutes the cement sets and the implant is at its full strength. But the muscle recovery is crucial, and muscle strength recovery is crucial, and it takes couple of months, and more you are encouraged to do exercises, faster will be your recovery. And in fact, if you start doing exercises before surgery itself, it's really great. For a few weeks after surgery, you will be able to walk with a walker. Next few weeks, we prefer to use a stick while walking. In another 1 to 1.5 months, you can walk, leaving down everything. You can join office by 1 to 1.5 months. As far as activities are concerned, you can do unrestricted walking, stair climbing. You can do swimming, cycling. You can do every activities in which high impact is not involved. For example, jumping, skipping should be discouraged. Low speed jogging can be done. Other than that, you can go for mountaineering, trekking, whatever you feel like, whatever your body permits. It's very important to understand that your activities will also depend on the physiological capacity of your body. If a person is physiologically not that fit, it doesn't mean that after knee replacement the person will become an athlete and start running. It's not like that. Your knees will be alright, and after that, whatever, if your body is fit enough to do trekking, you can go for trekking. If you are fit enough to do swimming, cycling, you can very well do swimming, cycling. So most of these activities can be done. What we should avoid is squattings. Squatting on the floor should be avoided, and high impact activities like jumping, skipping should be avoided. Artificial joint will last for several years to come. The present day designs, the low contact stress designs, the improved materials like titanium, niobium, the scratch resistant materials, the highly cross-linked, the ultra high molecular weight polyethylenes, all of them have greatly improved, and most importantly, what has improved is the cementation technology. A very long bonding with the implant and the bone. And over and above all these things is the precision of surgery. Is the surgical precision, which is the single most important factor in implant survivorship and longevity. For example, the placement of the implant should be perpendicular to the mechanical axis. So all those things are very important. And overall, over average, an implant is expected to live 25 years or so. And most important thing is that even after 25 years, if something is needed, it can always be revised. I can assure you that what we give over here in Eastern India, in Kolkata, is the best, the safest, and the most cost effective. Now, as far as the exact cost is concerned, we must need to understand that several times it is guided by the package of that particular insurance, and mostly it's quite reasonable. For example, the biggest insurance company in our country is the JIPSA conglomerate, which includes National, Oriental, New India, United India. So they have a fixed package of approximately 1 lakh plus implant. The implants rates are fixed by the government of India, which is known as National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. So cobalt chromium implants have got around 65,000, titanium niobium has got around 85-90,000. So all those things are there. So approximately for one knee it comes around 1,75,000. And when we do both knees together in single sitting, which we prefer to do most of the times, the hospital package is 1.5 times and the implant is double. So it comes around 3 lakhs or so. Well, this is the cost for the nationalized insurance companies. When there are some other insurance companies also, like private insurance companies are there, like ICICI Lombard, like IFCO Tokyo and all those things. A different calculation system, and it may vary slightly. It may vary slightly. Once a person has got some state insurance like Central Government Health Services, West Bengal Health Services, or West Bengal Government Health Scheme like Swasthya Sathi, or Government of India health schemes like Ayushman Bharat, it's a package and it's quite economical and reasonable. And if somebody doesn't have any insurance, which we have a lot of cases still in India, no state insurance, no private insurance, no national insurance. So people are paying out of their pocket. We make sure to give the best, the safest, at the most cost-effective rates. I personally do surgeries in several types of hospitals, which includes very big hospitals also and slightly moderate-sized hospitals also. Several times the cost may vary slightly on type to type of hospital. Our technology as skill is effective only when it reaches everybody who needs it. For example, if somebody who needs a knee replacement, and he should not be obstructed for undergoing the surgery for a cost or something like that. So technology is great only when it reaches everybody who needs it. So that's our motto. So we make sure that whoever needs to undergo knee replacement should not be stopped because of finances, because of money. So we make sure to deliver the best at the most cost effective rates. Normally office you can join by 1 month if it's a sitting job. If it's a field work type of thing, you can join by 1.5 to 2 months. But most of the people who are fit enough and motivated. Most important thing is that you have to be motivated yourself, because your motivation levels do affect the speed of recovery. So if you are motivated, most of the times you can join office by 1 month. Four-wheeler, you can start driving by 6 weeks. If somebody wants to drive two-wheeler, I think it's better to wait for 2 to 2.5 months. The person can start walking from the very next day of surgery with a walker, and without any help. If you want to go outside in the market and you want to go for morning walks and all, it takes around a month. Very much possible. Most of our patients do have some cashless tie-ups. In all the hospitals that we do, we have cashless tie-ups. As I discussed initially also, the biggest insurance company in our sector is the GIPSA conglomerate, which involves National Oriental New India, United India. So a lot of people have their individual insurances through these companies. Several times they have corporate insurances. For example, a corporate may be tied up with National Oriental New India. So we have cashless facilities for all, and it's a fixed package. And then we have private insurances like ICICI Lombard, IFCO Tokyo, Bajaj Allianz. We have cashless facilities for all, and we have we provide you the best, the safest at the most cost effective rates, and of course everything is cashless as far as possible. What we consider is the physiological age of the person. A person whose heart and kidneys are good and who is motivated and inspired can undergo knee replacement even at very senior age like 80 years or even 85 years. So there is no upper age limit as such. One needs to consider the physiological condition of the patient. See, for example, if a person is physiologically fit, if a person is medically fit and he or she is not able to go out because of bad knees, then we will do knee replacement and we'll make the patient go out and do his activities. But if somebody is physiologically not that fit at the age and not that very active, or body functions are not that good, then just by doing knee replacement we cannot make him go out on the road. So we have to balance everything, we have to consider everything. Well, of course, as is told, age is just a number. So it's not about the age number as such, it's about the physiological fitness, it's about the motivation, it's all about the what's there in mind. The age is just a number, of course. Most of our knee replacement patients, they are all senior citizens. By that time, somebody has hypertension, somebody has blood sugar, somebody has undergone angioplasty, somebody has undergone bypass surgery, for somebody pacemaker has been put. So we take care of everything. We take care of everything and we do our surgery. Let's understand something. If somebody is having ischemic heart disease, then a person after angioplasty is safer. If somebody is bundle branch block in ECG, then after pacemaker implantation it becomes safer to do surgery. So If somebody has ischemic heart disease and undergone a bypass surgery, then the heart has become stronger. So it's easier to do surgery after bypass surgery. It's easier to do surgery after angioplasty. It's easier to do surgery in whom pacemaker has been put. Those things generally don't create an issue for us, and along with our medical team, with our anesthesiologist, with our cardiac team, we work together as a team in tandem, and we take care of all the issues that come along. 30% of our patients, if we operate around 200 knee replacements in a month, at least 30 to 35% will be diabetic. So diabetes is not an issue as such. What we are bothered about, has diabetes affected somebody's kidneys or not? If there is a diabetic nephropathy, then it's a matter of concern. Diabetes is not has never been an issue till now in last 15 years for me. So we manage the sugar, and diabetes has never been an issue for last 15 years. Well, present day we have tissue glue technology, in which stitches are anywhere nowadays not put. We put something called skin staples. Skin staples so that there is no scar. And along with that, but those skin staples are metallic or staples, and they need to be removed. So if you don't want to undergo any stitch removal type of thing, then we may put a Histacryl technology, tissue glue. It's called tissue glue. It's good if you think that you cannot come back for stitch removal. But still, the skin staples are standard. They are stronger than the tissue glue, and if you can afford to come back for stitch removal, or if you stay in an area where we can send somebody to your home for stitch removal, skin staples are good. It's not that stitchless technology is superior to skin staples. It's not like that. But if you are in such a condition that you cannot come back, we will put skin glue. We will put skin glue. Well, LCS stands for low contact stress. It's a particular type of design wherein the bearing surfaces are congruous with each other, and the area of contact is maximized. So force by area is equal to stress is minimized. Throughout the range of movement, the area of contact is maximized and the stress is minimized, and it's a rotating platform knee, flexible knee. So it's supposed to last longer. That's what is LCS knee replacement. It's called low contact stress, and it's a high flexion knee. You can sit cross-legged, and you can sometimes occasionally sit on ground also. Although you may have difficulty in getting up, difficulty means you may need some support to get up, but you can sometimes sit on ground also. Just called gold because it looks golden. It's bionic. It's called bionic gold, but it's actually not gold. It's the titanium niobium. It's a coating, or sometimes it is a titanium which is coated with titanium niobium ultra coat. That's bionic gold. That's not exactly the gold that is used in ornaments. This looks golden, so it's called gold knee. Well, it's a good system. It's supposed to be less reactive as compared to metals, and most importantly, this ultra coat titanium knee is MR compatible. So you can do knee MRI of your hip, spine, brain, ankles, anywhere. It's a MR compatible knee, but you cannot do MRI of knee. You cannot do MRI exactly over the place where the implant has been put, whatever type of implant it may be. You can do MRI above and below, but not on the knee. If you want to see the knee, you have to do either an X-ray or a CT scan, not an MRI. Zero technique means correction of deformity. Like normally our legs are supposed to be like that, but in osteoarthritis it bends. It bends in two planes. It's called varus deformity and flexion deformity. So it bends in two planes, and we, with our instrumentation, with our navigation, we correct it and we make it a straight line, plumb line for weight bearing. So that 0 degree flexion extension and 0 degree varus valgus is called zero technology, or we prefer to call it 0 by 0 technology. So that's the correction of deformity. That is called zero technique of knee replacement, and we employ it for every surgery that we do. Zero technique of knee replacement. It's a very predictable surgery in hands of surgeon who is doing it day in and day out, and some in hands of surgeon who is doing it daily. It's a very predictable surgery because it's all mechanics, it's all physics that is involved in that. That's why it is very predictable. It's all the prosthetic materials are all non-living material that is put in it. It's not like kidney transplant or heart transplant. It's not a transplant. It's not a liver transplant. It's like liver transplant. It's a replacement. We are putting foreign bodies. We are putting prosthesis, and if mechanics is correct, if precision is correct, the results are very, very predictable. Well, partial knee replacement is something wherein only the inner part is replaced. So that is known as partial knee replacement. It is done in an earlier stage when the knee bends on standing, but it is straight on lying down. That is known as correctable varus. So if in that stage it is done, but in our country, in our setup, most of the people who come for surgery, they have already deformities which cannot be corrected by partial knee replacement. And in our setup, the numbers of partial knee replacement are very low because those criteria are not satisfied. Partial knee replacement is for very early stage, and by the time people agree for surgery in our setup, it's the stage of partial knee replacement is completely crossed. So partial knee replacement can be done only for very selective cases, which is known as correctable varus, and 95% of cases that we come we take utmost care to make the surgery before surgery, after surgery painless. So we previously we used to give epidural analgesia, which is the gold standard analgesia. It gives complete pain relief. But epidural analgesia fluctuates the blood pressure, and because the operative time has decreased in knee replacement, within 30 minutes we finish the surgery. Presently we have moved out from epidural analgesia, and we are presently giving nerve blocks. Nerve blocks are the sensory supply of knee is blocked by using ultrasound, high resolution ultrasound. We locate the nerves, which is known as femoral nerve block or adductor canal block. We put needles, stimulators to locate the nerve, and we give the block. So that is known as nerve block. That is very effective. We use local infiltration. We use transdermal patches. We use multimodal pain control modalities to keep you as painless as possible. Well, this is very important as we discussed that knee replacement or hip replacement, the replacement in the lower limbs, that is knee or hip replacement, is a precision based surgery. It's the precision that matters because it's all physics, it's all mechanics. Like a flyover is constructed, like a building is constructed, it's the mechanics, it's the precision has to be there. So, for example, the loading surface of the joint replacement, knee replacement has to be 90 degree to the mechanical axis because it's a cemented implant. Cement can withstand only compressive loading, it cannot withstand shearing stress. My mechanical engineer friends would understand it. So then we have something called sizing. The sizes have to be appropriate. We have degrees of placement. It has to be 3 degree externally rotated. It has to be like this, like that. So all those things have to be there. So it's the precision that matters, and those precision can be achieved with conventional instrumentation and computer navigation. So computer navigation actually helps us to achieve better precision. It's like third umpire of cricket. But still the single most important technique, single most important factor is the expertise of the surgeon, and expertise of the surgeon is over and above all these things. So we discussed several questions regarding knee replacement, and if you have further queries, you please WhatsApp me to 9831911584 or send me to santdr@gmail.com. Thank you.